Good evening and welcome to the first ever River Arts Hybrid Artist Conversation. We are in Yonkers tonight at the Power Lab with Yonkers Arts Executive Director Ray Wilcox and board member and board secretary Evan Bishop. My name is Marie Louise Miller. I'm a board member and I've been producing artist conversations for River Arts for about 6 years. And they keep getting better and better. Before we launch into our conversation, I wanted to let at-home audience know that you can post questions in the chat, and we will get to them at about a midpoint in the conversation. And for our in-house audience, because we do have a few people here today too, which is exciting, we'll make room for you guys to ask questions as well. Okay. River Arts needs to thank its supporters, Arts Westchester and New York State Council of the Arts, for their ongoing and generous support throughout the year. And finally, there is a link in the chat for you to make a donation. These programs are currently free, and we appreciate the help that we can get. All donations will go to support programs at Yonkers Arts and Rivers Arts. Tonight's conversation is being recorded. And so if you'd like, you can watch it at a later time with friends and family, or you can share it. And we would appreciate that as well. All right. Now we're going to get to some of the good stuff. Ray, Evan.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Hey. So Ray Wilcox, Executive Director of Yonkers Arts, you were named by the Business Council of Westchester a rising star for young entrepreneurs in the under 40 category. So hats off to you for that, for both being under 40.
I just made the cut though.
And for being a distinguished young entrepreneur.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
That makes a huge difference, I'm sure, for Yonkers. You left your corporate world to work with the Yonkers community. And you did that and you became the co-founder of the Power Lab, where we are now, and a manager of a dynamic program, Junior Incubation, which is an after-school program, and it runs at 3 different junior highs in Yonkers.
Correct.
Could we just take a second and tell us a little bit about Power Lab and that program?
Sure. The Power Lab. Power Lab, I always say, is that the hub of creativity and innovation, right? We created the Power Lab as a result of the lack of resources that places like the WeWorks and some of the alleys and the popular co-sharing facilities was offering. I used to take some long and extensive lunches at the WeWorks and just soak the ambiance of the actual facility. And the benefits and the synergy I felt of the people that was working inside these places was dynamic, and it was something that we didn't have here in Yonkers. So one of my passions was I seen where I plateaued in corporate, and I wasn't fulfilled. So I left working corporate in 2016, and we created the Power Lab. It looked nothing like this. The walls were pink, the floors were blue carpet. It looked like a real old medical facility inside here. But through the combination of our hard work, love, and support from the community and the city of Yonkers, we were able to pull something like this off. So the Power Lab is the same business model as a WeWork or the popular co-share. I'm gonna stop saying WeWork because WeWork doesn't even exist anymore, does it?
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop saying that anymore.
They went away.
But we get same business model as the popular co-sharing facilities around the country. But the difference between us and those co-working and co-sharing facilities is that we have a strong relationship with the community. So our programs are always community centered and based. Very, very strong on financial literacy, and just some of the other trending and progressive programs that we can offer for the community that we know that's lacking of. So that's the essence of the Power Lab. We birth a bunch of nonprofits. We have a bunch of dynamic residents that lease space from us. So it's just the place to be.
Wow, it's really impressive. And at the same time, and the after school program for the kids.
Sure. So the Junior Incubation Program actually was birthed because of the success of the Power Lab. So the Yonkers Public Schools seen what we've been doing with the Power Lab here in regards to providing the resources to our tenants, and they thought that would be a great opportunity to really teach and instill some of the entrepreneurial assets and characteristics in some of the junior high school students. So we created a program based off of, again, incubating your business. And these kids, they created their businesses, they grew it, they sustained it. The craziest thing about it, I did not think that was going to come out of this, was these kids were providing me with trending charts and things that I wasn't expecting. Like I was doing this in corporate America, and these kids were actually doing it. So it was just amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing program. I met some creative and absolutely phenomenal students, and I missed them. I mean, we couldn't do the program this year because of COVID, but I missed them, and I can imagine how much they've grown ever since. So,
Oh, wow. That's beautiful.
yeah.
So at the same time that you were co-founding the Power Lab, you also joined the board of Yonkers Arts.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that was in 2017.
2017.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then in 2019,
Mhm.
you decided you didn't have enough to do, and you became the executive director.
He knows it. Evan knows it. Sure. Yep.
So in 2019, you became the executive director of Yonkers Arts.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. So I understand the Power Lab. I understand why you wanted to create that and create a working space for people in Yonkers so they didn't have to drive so far away and get called out on their lunch hour.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But also empower the people here in the
Sure,
community.
we feel it's important. I mean, instead of having to rely upon applying for jobs, we wanted to instill in the confidence in the community that they could create their own jobs and thrive through that as well.
Right.
So that's very, very important for us.
Yeah. And that's deep. But so what drew you to Yonkers Arts?
So you know what? Being actually through the Power Lab, we knew that we wanted to incorporate the arts here in Yonkers. I mean, especially the local artists. One of my biggest things is putting my people in a position to really thrive and succeed. So once I met these guys here that was doing phenomenal work, and Yonkers is, again, we 250,000 people, but we have a huge cohort of creative and talented people. These artists, they range from being young until the seniors, and it was an easy transition for me. So coming into here and featuring the art here in Yonkers, and it really put me in a position. They invited me to the board, and just with my ambition and my work ethic, the board really put me in a position to really take over the org and bring it to the right direction.
Wow. So, all right. So you launched a bunch of initiatives, but
Mhm.
the one that we're here to talk about today is the Black Lives Matter mural.
Yes.
And that leads me to our second
Yes.
guest
My
here,
guy.
Evan Bishop, who is your collaborator and, from what I understand, the mastermind, the man of the inspiration and will. And so Evan Bishop is the secretary for the board of Yonkers Arts, also a full-time job. And in addition to that, Evan is a graphic artist, a muralist, a teacher, a fine artist, a body artist, a graffiti artist, a father, an awesome father, and so much more. The list really does go on and on and on. And I just had so much fun saying artist 50 times.
Right.
I just want to thank you for that.
The brand.
I don't get to do that often. On your bio page, did a little digging. You declared yourself an artist at the age of 4.
Absolutely.
So you really knew what you were up for.
Without question.
And I want to say that's pretty amazing. And then today you call yourself an ambassador,
Yes.
an ambassador for your ancestors,
Mhm.
an ambassador for Africa,
Yes.
and an ambassador for hip hop culture.
Every day.
I'm glad I got that right. There are so many projects under your hat, but I'm going to name just a few because I spent a lot of time looking at them all. And I have to say the images are just stunning over and over and over again. But a few of them are 100 Words of Wisdom, the Legacy Model Mural, the BLM mural, Yes, Yonkers, I Am a Hero, an online project which you just wrapped up, and the West Hab headquarters project, which features a lot of really beautiful graffiti art.
Absolutely.
And if anybody wants to know more about all the things I'm talking about, you just go to Evan Bishop's Instagram page and you can see it. And it's really, really wonderful.
Thank you.
Evan,
Yes.
how did you get involved in Yonkers Arts with all that you have going on?
I realized the importance of organization and really moving forward, and seeing that being an artist in Yonkers, individually, I can do but so much, but if I affiliate myself with organization that has people, qualified people in qualified positions to do more than I can do, I can contribute more. So my mission was to connect with any body of people whose vision I can ride with. And Yonkers Arts definitely had something to offer the community, and I know that through the organization I can contribute greatly.
When did you get involved with Yonkers Arts?
It was probably around the same time Ray did.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm Bronx native, born and raised in the Bronx. So coming into Yonkers around 2016, I began to see the lay of the land, began to meet the movers and shakers, and realized that, to affiliate myself with the right people would just move my vision of being that ambassador much further than trying to do it individually.
Right. And how did you meet Ray?
Right here in the Power Lab. Yeah, he actually had was it the women's? It was the women's. There was an all women's exhibition, and my girlfriend Katori Walker was part of it, and other artists that we support and respected were part of it. And afterwards, we hung out after the exhibit, and we got to talking, and that allowed me. I didn't do a lot of talking; I just listened, and I began to see who I wanted to align myself with. So I knew that Ray, doing what he's doing here in the Power Lab, I knew his vision was about community, and that's right up there in terms of priorities, making sure community is there.
You know, I'm really struck by something I'm hearing both of you say a lot, and it really is you have to show up. You have to be there, and you have to be there and be present
And have something to offer.
and have something to
Yeah,
offer.
you can't just be there just to be there, just to be there. What are you bringing to the table? And I know for myself, since 4 years old, this was the calling. And it's interesting because as I get opportunities and offers, the first thing I ask myself is it art? If it's not art, I have to really see the relevance and my qualifications to be part of it. So knowing that it's art, it's right up my alley. That's what I'm here to do.
Wow. So about a month ago, or maybe a little longer now, it's hard to remember, we all got together. We got together at the site of the mural. And by we, I mean Evan, Ray, myself, and our amazing tech and cameraman, Josh Govier. And it was the four of us who stood on the streets as the traffic went by, got to know each other just a little bit, and started this conversation that we're continuing here today. And so I thought maybe before we go any further, we would show you a clip of what that conversation looked like and give you a chance to see what the original Black Lives mural looked like back when it was painted last August. So hang on one second, and here we go.
That's funny as the first picture comes up. And as the premier arts organization focused solely on the arts here in Yonkers, we differentiate ourselves by representing the city as a culmination, as a whole. So we really enhance the awareness and the presence of all of our arts institutions here. So from galleries to museums to creatives and artists like Evan Bishop here, and that's what our principal concept is.
The visual arts and social movements are critical because they lead to the eye. When we had the opportunity to design this Black Lives Matter mural, it was actually coming upon August 2020. And August 2020 was special and dear to me because 100 years to that month, Marcus Mosiah Garvey declared red, black, and green to be the colors of African liberation. We've seen so many beautiful murals come about through that movement, but we at Yonkers wanted to do something a little bit different. So if you look at the other murals, they all have their own unique expression, and we wanted to make sure ours celebrated that 100-year celebration to the month that Marcus Mosiah Garvey declared red, black, and green. So that we feel was a unique touch. In between, we wanted to add the yellow. Specifically as a designer, I realized that other murals that were being done, some of them the translation was lost through the aerial view. So we wanted to make sure that yellow glow really kept everything tight. Prior to putting paint on concrete, there was some trepidation. There was concerns for our physical safety. On the day of, it was a beautiful day like this. There was actually a women's march, and they literally redirected their path to come right here and to celebrate and volunteer. So each of them came up with their own design, and it just really began to unfold organically. And I was thoroughly pleased with the whole process and everything being done in one day when we were really projecting like a 3-day project. We got it done.
This is definitely, and working corporate for almost 20 years, this is by far the biggest project I've ever done. But one of the biggest things that came out of this was the conversations I had with the unfortunate victims' parents. So I was able to have a conversation with Dan Roy Henry's mom and Mike Maldonado's mom and some of the local heroes that unfortunately lost their lives. And that right there will always resonate with me, for sure.
Good job, John. Good job. All right.
I hope you all enjoyed that.
For
We
sure.
did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So I want to jump right into it. That was a short snippet of conversation. I want to pull one of the things out. And so, Evan, this next question is for you. And I would love you to talk a little bit more about Garvey, about his voice, and how that influenced your choice of colors, and really how you brought this project to life with that inspiration in mind.
Good question. If you don't know Marcus Mosiah Garvey, don't even Google him. Buy his books. Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Mosiah Garvey was a changing narrative in my life. When I read the book, I realized that there are so much more things that are available to me as a melanated man than what the media and what popular society chooses to provide for me. But I knew that there was power and strength in bringing that energy into this mural. It was without question. When Ray told me, let's do it. I mean, I knew that the 100th celebration was coming. So within my own space, I was celebrating. It was a place of joy because if you look at the global independence of African nations, you begin to see after 1920, a lot of the flags represented those colors. So his rallying cry was really, it wasn't based on an island or a continent, it was a global thing. And each nation found their own way to celebrate the power of those colors. So I'm always finding ways to sprinkle in the power of my ancestry in the things that I do. So Yonkers Art, to ask me, it was without question. It was really the only design I would have done. I didn't tell you guys that, but it was like, I'm not gonna give you variations. This is it. This is what I'm stamping my name on. If not, then I'll be part of the process, but I don't wanna be part of the plan. I don't wanna change it up. I don't want it to be anything more than just that, because as I looked at it, I also studied the evolution of the Black Lives Matter murals, and to see each city find their own way to express that movement was beautiful. And it's, my thing is authenticity. I don't want to do what was already done. That's kind of going back to my graffiti things.
Right.
Don't be a biter, come with your own style. So this was our style. And what was beautiful is that I don't always see the final result until it's there. So the yellow band, I think Adam said something about it.
Yep.
And I didn't want to say anything. Yeah. Well, I like the yellow border around the lettering because I knew that would be the eye popper.
Sure.
Right.
But anything else was like, no, don't do it. But it really happened organically. Yeah. Adam was like, we're going to designate this space.
The day of, right?
The day of.
The day of.
And there was really no plan. We said, you can paint here. And once somebody did that first stroke, I was like, it's on. Yeah. It's on. So everybody kind of spread out and just chose their areas. Some people wrote names, some people did designs. And it was a way for the community to say, I did that. I didn't do that because they gave me a game plan. I did that because I like that swirl, or I like that circle. Or so the ability for each person to kind of add their own expression into that mural made it even more of a communal experience.
Wow, that's really different.
Yeah,
It's really
Absolutely.
different. And
Yeah.
I think it's a real testament to both to your sense of an artist and your sense of a teacher, and to give up the control,
Yeah, got it.
right? And allow, when you allow people in to say, I all the voices, all the impulses are part of what makes us us.
Yes.
And so
Because there really is no control.
right.
When you think there's controls, when
Yeah.
things start getting crazy, you just got to surrender and just let it happen. And to see it happen, I knew that my responsibility was accuracy.
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure those letters read perfectly, whether you're a mile up, an inch up. It was like that was my major concern. And as they changed venues and locations, the numbers had to change. So I had to go back and work the numbers to make sure that everything, because that's just the artist in me, is like accuracy. I want to make sure that when my children's children's see this, they know I was on point. So
Well, so that leads me right into the next question, Ray. And Evan, you brought up when the locations changed.
Oh
So-
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So let's pull some of that apart.
Sure.
It isn't every day that somebody can say to any city, anywhere, much less
Right.
Yonkers with 200,000 people,
Right,
a
right.
lot of different pushes and pulls. We're going to paint a mural and take up a whole street and
In front of a war memorial as well.
in front of a war memorial that's in front of City Hall.
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about what's the story about how you got to this place.
Okay.
Take us back to some of those location changes.
How much time do I have? All right. Honestly, to be honest with you, the current location where it is was our first location that we pitched to the city. So it was just a fortunate, experience to end up back at that location. But there was, again, like Evan said, there was definitely trepidation in regards to just putting it out there, period. In me working with the city, I identified a few different locations, just again, plan A, plan B, plan C. I was working with what I know here, and Main Street is very popular for having most of our festivals here in Yonkers. So from Riverfest to all of our summer series that we have down there to Yonkers Pride, it just seemed like an easier way to manage it. However, and again, this is normal. We definitely had some pushback from some of the business owners and maybe some of the actual building owners as well. One being that, and I understand it because their particular driveway faces Main Street, and closing the block off may have caused some obstruction for the actual person. Long story short, right? Accommodating them, but at the same time not accommodating. Anyway, let's move forward from that. So anyway, we chose, we identified a different location, Warburton Avenue, because Warburton has some significance in regards to just our African heritage. Phillipsburg Manor is on that street. We have one of the oldest churches that's been here forever. I believe MLK actually spoke at the church on Warburton as well. So it has very significant significance to put it there as well. But again, we still got some pushback as well. So after that time, actually, I got mad. I got angry. And I went to these guys, and I've always played it. I had to learn, and let me get back to, I had to learn to really work with my board instead of reacting right away. So in talking to these guys kept me level-headed throughout the entire time. My emotional support, my strength, my motivation, it was all these guys. And again, there was times where I was getting phone calls, anonymous phone calls, anonymous emails, anonymous chats threatening me about putting it out here in the streets. And I took that, sometimes I took it a little harder, but at the same time, I used it as fuel. And again, these guys being my support system really helped me out of those dark holes at times. But at the end of the day, I took that anger, I went back to the city, and I told them, like, listen, if you move us again, I'm gonna put it out there. And honestly, the city after that meeting, the city really, really was behind us. And not saying that they weren't behind us from the jump, because they definitely were trying to work with us and really trying to appease a lot of other people but us. And at the end of the day, they really got their stuff together and made it really, really easy for us. They locked down an entire weekend for us. They put the lights out there for us. They made it so that it was really, really easy. When it comes to just compliance, they provide us with all the PPE equipment. Last minute. I mean, the last few days, we were good to go in regards to just like prep and being ready for it, because the city and the community was really ready to get it out there. So again, despite of having our hurdles and nuances prior to the actual installation, the installation and the day of made me forget about all of that, all of
Wow.
it. So we're very fortunate for the community to come through,
Wow.
and the city of Yonkers.
So just out of curiosity, from the time that you proposed it to the city to the day that you were able, how long did that take?
It was about 10 weeks. Yeah, because and the reason why I can say this, is because every week I emailed the city and I put out updates to all of our community members. So I could go back and just search in my Google search about all those emails that I put out. And yeah, it's about 10 to 11 weeks.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm. It
It
happened.
happened.
It happened.
Um, just so that people at home or as people who haven't seen the mural, I mean, it was incredible to walk it.
Definitely. It's an
You
experience.
don't get to feel how big it is.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
and so kudos to you, Evan, for, I mean, it's easy to say that you had to recalculate the size, and so we're thinking paper and a ruler, but it's huge. It's huge, and you can lie down on one of those letters almost. Yeah,
Yeah, with room. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, it's extraordinary. How many volunteers, about ballpark,
So
did you
the
bring?
day of, so I could break it down. So we actually had about 35 community organizations contribute, whether it was monetarily, volunteer, or they just help spread the word. The day of, we had about 70 volunteers to show up all throughout the day. So again, it could be, afternoon time, morning time, afternoon, and maybe prior to the evening, because we finished relatively early too. So yeah, they came out and we had everyone safe. Everyone was spread apart. Everyone had their own letter, and it was just filling it in. It was beautiful. It was just absolutely, the day couldn't get any better in regards to weather as well.
Right.
But again, 70 guys, or 70 people came out and really put the work in, and it was amazing. No issues. No issues.
How did the mural, once it was all done, how did it affect the presence of Yonkers Arts in Yonkers? How did it change your relationship to the community, to the naysayers maybe, to the people who were sending you those horrible emails?
Yeah.
I mean, did you see a shift? Did you see a change? Did you get that kind of feedback?
Oh, absolutely. The feedback we got was amazing. The press coverage we had was amazing. There really is funny too, because up until the actual mural went down, there was a bunch of, you could see all the comments opposing it, right? But once it was done, you could barely find anybody else opposed to it. The city really, the city rallied around it. It proved that the mayor was really a proponent and an ally for us. That was very big for us. It really aggregated and allowed all of us, and I'll say all of us in regards to community organizations, to be in one place at one time and be able to really just have that synergy to start creating and start thinking about ongoing programs and how could we really start impacting the community in the city of Yonkers on the ground floor. So that came of it. Of course, again, to be selfish, again, Yonkers Arts did obtain a few different contracts because they, the equity in regards to the confidence was birthed through that. I mean, that's a 500 plus size mural with no issues, with no type of vandalism, nothing. So the city seen that, the city loved, and just to work with them and the patience we had with them is equity in itself.
Wow.
So that right there, and it allows us to work with them and still do more impactful work through the arts. And my whole idea, my whole goal is really to how to really bring the arts into the communities as best as I can. And whether I could do that through murals, programs, however, I just know, and I'm confident I have the city and the community to back that. And that was birthed throughout the
That was the
process.
mural. Wow. Well, kudos to both of you and everybody else.
Thank you.
It's impressive. It's incredibly impressive. Let me just stop here for a quick second. Are there any questions in the chat? And if you haven't put one in and you want to, now would be a good time.
Maybe stir to ask for your contact info.
Sure. You can email me rayw@yonkasarts.org.
All right. I'll scroll through the chat. I don't know if I see anything else.
Or any comments that you want to share?
Someone said great job to me. That was nice.
It's always good if the cameraman is appreciated.
down.
Otherwise, there's no show.
Okay, this is a good question. Is there a special material over the paint to preserve longer?
Ooh, good question. We did not. We used an exterior, I'm not really sure of the makeup of it. Adam purchased it, but it's exterior, cement paint, weather, weather ready type of paint. So it wasn't anything. One thing I would say, if anybody's thinking about doing any type of street art or asphalt art, because of the planning, because of the scheduling, because of the availability of the space, the one thing I would have done was to power wash the surface. And we didn't power wash it. The city may have had a street sweeper come by, but the power wash, I think, would have done it more. So if anybody's watching and thinking about any type of artwork on the ground, make sure it's power washed, get the oils off of it, get the pebbles and the residue completely off. So yeah, I think that was it. But the paint was just exterior concrete paint.
Great. Any other questions?
Yeah, we just got a few more. I'll start going through them, I guess. So someone asks how, I don't know, they might have meant you, Evan, but they asked how Ray first got into painting murals.
I think they meant Evan.
He's the artist.
In my dreams.
First murals. The number one subway line between 135th and 142nd. There's a little underground subway yard. I called my playground. Yeah, it was graffiti art. It was graffiti art without question. The teachers were saying 8.5 by 11. Graffiti said, as much as you can paint, any place, upside down, any surface, go for it. So it gave me the confidence and the understanding that the only limits are what you create. So don't have any. So go from there. But yeah, so I've been doing mural art since the early 80s. First one was probably 82. Not gonna say where, but I love you, Mom, for supporting me. It's a whole other story. Word. Oh, whoa. Technology.
Another question was, you have plans for more mural work in the area?
I mean, again, how much time do you have? So yeah, absolutely. For one, we're looking to update the current mural that we have on the street, but at the same time too, I've been having plenty of meetings about doing more work. One of the biggest projects I have launching is the Art in the Park project, which is rejuvenating some of the parks here in Yonkers through the arts. So slapping some amazing murals on the floor, on the walls, maybe some installations inside the park. This way we could rejuvenate the park in new and creative ways. So that's one program that I have launching. But at the same time too, I have relationships with the downtown bid, the South Broadway bid, and we having those ongoing conversations about murals because again, you go to some of these cities and the artwork decorates the city and it makes it so much more beautiful. I just came back from, I'm plugging this like crazy. I just came back from Wynwood and I came back so just inspired because the feeling of just walking through these murals, like a mural city, was something like I've never experienced before. And I want to bring that here. And I'm gonna do my best to bring that here for sure.
That's great. So another question kind of on that same topic. Are there any projects, well, you already answered that, but like, how's the support now from the local government community?
Oh, sure. So again, shout out to the city of Yonkers and the city planning and the mayor because they're our allies. I mean, they've been supporting and even just riding with us with our ideas and being proactive. Shout again, Lou Albano, man, the commissioner of planning. I had a great meeting with him today, but prior to today, he brought up the idea of updating the mural for Juneteenth. So I'm gonna give him that credit because that's the city showing us the support, and they deserve that. So shout out to Lou Albano. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it well. And yeah, shout out to the city of Yonkers, man. They really support Yonkers arts. So thank you. We're super thankful.
Oh, that's so fabulous. So this is great. And if there are more questions, we'll see if we can get to them at the end. Oh, hold on, Tom.
I wanted to ask a question referring to Ed. Does any of your graffiti still exist in the city, in the Bronx?
I'm just going to repeat that for the feed.
Yeah.
Does any of your
Graffiti still
exist?
exists. From the 80s, Absolutely not. Those trains are probably under sea and now a reef somewhere. But I would say not just pictures, but it's interesting. I actually, in preparing to upgrade a website, I began to just compile the volumes of murals, and the Bronx is giving me love. I mean, I connected with a mixed martial arts studio in the Bronx, and the sensei was like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Give me the keys. When y'all leave, you'll come back to some magic." So literally, and in this dojo or this martial arts school has moved like 4 times, and every time they move, they're like, "We need more," and I'm the man for the job. Let's do it. So
Oh,
yeah,
that sounds like magic.
so there's murals in the Bronx that still have my signature that people can see. Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
I think a photo book needs to be made. You all get this going.
Yeah.
They did it in Barcelona. They
Why
can do it in
not? For
Yonkers.
sure. I like that.
Yeah, I'll find that book.
Good job.
Take that to the mayor. We're going to pivot really quickly here. We're in the Power Lab space. We had originally talked about being in the Yonkers Arts space. It's a very different kind of space. And since we couldn't be there, I thought it might be really nice to share a short clip from programming that happens in that space. And I just want to preface it by saying, one of the things that you have been genius at doing, I think, and it's just me, but I really do think it's genius, is your art and music mashup. That seems to me to be set, and because I am a lover of different arts coming together to create a new sense of art, a new sense of belonging, it's a personal passion of mine. But when I saw what you were doing, it was on a whole nother level, and it has the energy of really just creating a whole new world to it. So I thought we'll show the clip first and then talk about it. Ready, Josh? All right, here we go.
You always, you always wondered why. You always, you always wondered why.
I'd say today was a success. It was dope. Artist was awesome. I had fun. Everybody had fun. It was great to see everybody.
So once again, my name is Dean Phillip. My Instagram handle is like Dean. This piece is just a little quick taste of like a series I do called Colors, where I do portraits and pieces of people in like very bright colors, unusual colors. And this one's just about self-love and self-embrace.
And honestly, just looking forward to the next one. They just keep getting better and better, man. Can't complain, bro.
That's videos, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you
Yes,
talk
thank
a little
you.
bit about that? Where did it come from? And
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
just-
first shout out to Matt, who's a videographer, who's just an amazing videographer and a high school kid, a high school senior who did those. So shout out to Matt. The idea was birthed from one of my board members, just trying to feature different mediums of art and seeing how they react together. So I always had an idea of again doing a band and integrating some type of like artist, or whether it's a performing artist or a battle. I always envision a ballerina with the band, right? Because that's something I'm looking to do. Stay tuned for that, guys. But again, it was just organic, and working with the band. The shout out to the Unison Experience. They're just an amazing group of guys, and we just know such amazing artists. Evan was actually the first artist that we did for the Music and Mashup series, and he could tell you just the experience in himself, and it was just a vibe, right? Let's talk about the experience a little bit.
Music and art and music. It's just that creative vortex that's generated from creatives coming together. I love it. I love it. I don't do too many pieces of art without music, and to have a live band around is so interesting because when I got there, they were warming up, but I was like, I just started painting. It was like, oh wait, don't start until they say start. And I'm like, come on, I hear the music. My body says move with it. So it's beautiful. I think it's a good combination that people need to experience. And the live art there's something magical about creating in a live space. And I've experienced it in other venues. When I was offered to do the mashup, it was interesting because it was a couple of days before the conjunction that was happening, the celestial conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter. And so I did a piece as a tribute to that. And it was just so magical. It was good for me because I had the idea, but I could rationalize I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
So when Ray was like, "This is your space," I said, "This is the time to do it."
Yeah.
So I didn't want to use acrylic because of the dry time, the dip, clean, clean, clean. So I used pastels so I can get my hands muddy and messy and just go and just keep on going until they say stop. And I literally rocked until the band stopped. So it was a good exercise, good experience.
The artists, they become part of the band, and you can see it happening organically, like in real time. And that right there is something that, again, because I'm not, again, you called me an artist earlier, and I appreciate that. But when it comes to actually being like, again, one of these creatives, like these guys, and just seeing it happen organically, it was just magic to my eyes, and it was powerful. And the hardest thing about that is getting these guys out of there afterwards, because they just want to hang out, and it's because the vibes is just so. It's just so good inside there. You can feel it afterwards, and I kid you not, I have a hard time kicking them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the band is amazing. These are young Christian-based artists, and I kid you not, these guys could play, 3 of them could play about 4 different instruments alone.
Oh, wow.
So the talent is very proficient here in Yonkers, and we're just, again, the organization is just big about enhancing their positions.
Yeah. It really is like watching a world come to life. It's really inspiring. I got to see 3 videos. You guys only got to see 1, but they are available to see. And
Yes.
it is so moving.
Thank
And
you.
in each
Thank
artist,
you.
each take, each other every experience is different.
Thank you. Yep.
And yeah,
Mhm.
so here we have this amazing Black Lives mural on the ground.
Mhm.
We have this mashup where you've got young energy, experienced energy, creating a whole new energy. You're pulling community together.
Sure.
You're pushing through the naysayers. You're overcoming. You're including government. Hallelujah, when the arts can include government.
Yeah. Yes,
And you are
absolutely.
activating through the pandemic.
Yes.
So this is not a power lab. This is a powerhouse.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Thank
you all are. You are
Thank you.
such an inspiration.
Thank you.
But so now I'm all happy, but I need to ask you,
Mhm.
what is your inspiration? Where do you go? I mean, you don't levitate, and I said this earlier when we were all talking before, and lay like a magic egg, and boom,
Sure.
we've got, right? No. Where do you go? How do you
I'll let
dig
you
deep?
start on that one.
The inspiration, purpose. Purpose. I think when you realize what you're here to do, you do it. Yonkers is where I reside. This is where I chose to live. Thank you, Katori. Yeah, so it's purpose. I knew wherever I'm gonna go, this is art. Anything I can contribute is gonna be art or teaching, but even when I'm teaching, I'm throwing in art. So it's purpose. So the inspiration comes just by being and knowing my purpose. I'm not this, I'm not that. I don't want to be that. I like that, but still not my lane. My lane is art. So knowing that for so long helped me to navigate choppy waters. You know, when friends were jumping into careers that provided material extravagance, I'm going down to Pearl Paint to grab up my supply of whatever it is I'm trying to go to come back up to create. So it just helped me to just know that this is my calling. Yonkers embrace me, so I'm gonna embrace them back. So that's the inspiration every
Yeah.
day, every day, every day, without question.
Can I push you a little bit further?
sure.
Because
Let's
I
go.
love this conversation.
Let me just put on my seatbelt.
Yeah, right. Don't hit that lever.
Yeah, I keep on going up and down.
We'll lose
Got
you
the
out there.
hydraulics going on.
So I'm thinking back to your bio page
Yes.
and where we started when we first introduced you. And I'm thinking back to the idea of being the ambassador
Yeah.
to ancestors. And I guess I'm wondering what the link is there to the art. How, where, is there a voice? Is there a resonance to that inspiration? And
It's in every fiber. You know, I am my ancestors, so let me produce.
okay.
I'm producing for them. Yeah, it's easy. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now you, Mr. Ray.
So again, I guess my inspiration, it's a calling in myself that no one's gonna outwork me. For one, I'm super competitive. A lot of my inspiration and my drive comes from the courts. I'm a sports head. I played basketball, I played football, and every single time on any of those sports, I was always the captain. That's something about me. Like I'm an organizer. I like to keep people or help people get to the point where they can maximize their potential. And coming into this position, especially with Yonkers Arts and the artists here in Yonkers, I've seen all the potential in the world in these guys, and they were not getting the most that they weren't getting the recognition that they deserve. One of the first things that I came into this organization to address was that we have a Yoho Open Studio that's been happening for about almost 20 years. And for the entire time I've been in Yonkers, and I've been in Yonkers more than 25 years, I've never heard of it. And now that was very, very, very strange to me. So in seeing the talent and seeing the power that these people have and these creatives have, what can I do in my wheelbarrow, my experiences to really enhance their awareness? And that's something that the board took notice of, because easy things that may seem hard to some people, I could get done in a day. And that's how I work. I'm like relentless. And the city knows it, community knows it, because I will stay on your ass the entire time. I'm sorry.
It's not NPR. It's
All right,
okay.
good.
We can
So
do that.
I listen, I have no qualms about that. If they have a problem with it, then listen, I'm gonna call you next week and talk to you about it. But that's my thing. I'm very, very big, especially in my community. Being a mentor is very big. Being the proof of someone that could make it past what is right in front of some of these kids' faces is very, very important to me. So I'm always, again, if I could talk to the youth, whether I could get back to the youth, whether I could put the youth in a position to start working on some of these projects as well, I'm always going to do that. And that's very, very inspiring to me.
Wow. You're going to make some big
Was that-
changes.
all right.
Yeah.
That was good. All right.
All right. All right. I want to pivot. This is a little bit of a harder topic, but I feel like we do need to address it at these times. Which just made me think of an old R&B song, which I'm not going to try to sing.
You got a mic, right?
No. Sometimes it's a mistake. That would be that. Okay, here we go. These times, this is a little bit harder. So here we go. So arts organizations can be reflectors of their times. Arts organizations can make space for other people to speak out, to reflect. Arts organizations can be at the forefront, calling for reflection, calling for action. Arts organizations can be instigators, provocateurs. Artists have done all of those things and more. And so I wanted to ask you, given where we're at now, especially with the things that have happened in the last few weeks, it seems relentless on the one hand and exhausting. And we've heard those words before, but as an arts organization, as community builders, what do you feel your role is? And then the second part of that question is, what have people asked you for your role to be, right? And what would you like your role to be? So anywhere in there for both of you, I'd really love to hear that.
Wow, that was pretty. So I'll use the Black Lives Matter mural as reference into this answer. So one of the reasons why it was very, very important to me for the Black Lives Matter mural, because especially me as an African American and the executive director of an arts organization, was that we know the history of Yonkers in regards to, again, the deseg suits and redlining issues, which wasn't that long ago. Myself and my parents, again, I moved from the Bronx, and my parents are they're good. We're a middle class family, and we can afford some of the houses on different parts that's outside of Southside Yonkers. But ask us if we were showing some of those houses. That's the problem, right? So in watching, actually, as of recent, and watching some of these documentaries and going back to watch Brick by Brick, I didn't put it together until recently.
Oh, wow.
And this was right before we did the mural. So it was very, very important to me to bring that here, because not only do I need to put the city on notice that this is something that's happening here, but I want to call out people as well. So in going through what I went through with the city was testament to seeing how the city support us. And I'm very confident that Mayor Spano is he's an ally with us. And having him come out there and give his opinion and go to press about the importance of it was something that was very, very important to us as well, because we know what's happening here. We know what happened here, and there's still remnants of that happening now.
Right.
We go to certain parts of the city, and it doesn't look like downtown Yonkers. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, Tom, you could tell us, that these are situations that needed to be addressed, and the Black Lives Matter mural did that. Did that and more, because what was birthed from that was just a synergistic effort through various community organizations to come together to address certain issues on the ground. So when it comes to Yonkers Arts, I'm always going to be, again, you said a provocateur. I like that word. I'm gonna use that word in my use a provocateur, because in order to make things happen, you got to make noise. You got to make noise. And through the arts, there's ways we could address certain situations that we know that's facing the Yonkers directly. So for one example, the community fridge project that we're launching, addressing just the food disparities here in Yonkers. We know that we have a hungry group of neighbors that resonate in downtown Yonkers. And what we're going to do is, what can we do through the arts? Well, we could decorate a beautiful refrigerator and with some protective casing and make it an art spot, but at the same time too is addressing an issue here that we identified here in Yonkers. So I'm always going to come up with programs and projects that represent that. Like I said, I grew up in the basketball courts. I see tremendous benefits of growing up and competing and developing that competitive nature. And I want to provide that for the kids. But why would they go to a park that has hills that aggregates and collects water, and it has all types of mosquitoes and all types of, germs? Why would they go to a court that looks like an institution with gray and white walls? Right. You know what I'm saying? So this is the reason why we came up with this program, where we could give the community something to be proud of. Yeah. And it's going to address those issues of, again, community for one. At the same time too, we know that health and fitness is very important. And we want to, again, I want to bring the arts directly into the community, because I don't want the community to always have to come down to downtown Yonkers to experience some of these beautiful murals. Like, these communities deserve that, and that's something that we're looking to always address. And that's always, again, for Power Lab Yonkers Arts, I'm going to put my people in the right position, and that's something that's near and dear to me.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Ditto.
Ditto. Sure, go ahead.
Ray, which parks are you thinking to?
Oh, definitely. Oh man.
Which parks?
Which park? So some of the parks we're looking to address here in Yonkers is one, Trevor Park needs some help. We're going to address Trevor Park. There's a few parks relatively close to the Yoho Studios. Smith Park is right across the street from our office. Serrato Park, which is on Riverdale Avenue, is a beautiful park. It has beautiful pillars. It's amazing. It looks like an old aqueduct was there. That's one of the parks. Sullivan's Oval, which is attached to Yonkers High and School 23, is another one of them. There's about 10 parks that we identified. And Commerce Park, and how can I forget Commerce? Commerce Park is the park that we're looking to initiate the project. And the reason why we identified that park as a potential start is because it has one court and has some beautiful walls, and it could serve as that beta. And this way we could just replicate it. So that's what's happening.
Wow, 10 parks.
10 parks in 4 years. So if I could do more than that, then that's even better.
Oh, look out, Yonkers. That's fantastic. All right, we're going to switch horses one more time here, and we're going to have a little bit of fun and talk about the future.
I'll take it.
And this is a fun future question, right? So in the future, a future that you can imagine where there are no barriers. There are no financial barriers. There's no time constraint. There's no energy. There's no physical barrier. There's no body barrier, right? In that world, what would you like to see Yonkers Arts doing in a future where there is no barrier? Just have fun with that one.
Just to be a conduit to artists of all levels, to provide the support, the resources, and the opportunities. You know, I think that that's really what it is. You know, young artists need a place. They have the Power Lab. I just heard you say one of these young ladies had a whole bunch of paintings just sitting there. She never exhibited. Power Lab was the first place. That's important. That is pivotal. As well as the seasoned artists, to give them an opportunity, a space to be acknowledged, to be respected for what they've done, and to create a bridge between the skill levels where a seasoned artist can share with newer artists, and newer artists can share what they know. It's not just one way. You know, there's a technological divide that happens with a lot of artists. And I know I even did something in the Power Lab a few years ago because so many artists were asking me to help them do this and help them do that. And how do I do this? And I'm a giver in the sense that I know that it's not mine to keep. So if I have information and someone's attentive, I'm going to give it to them. So yeah, I think really being that hub where artists of all skill levels know this is the organization that's going to support me in my endeavors as long as I bring my A game to the table. It's not just going to be a hangout in the clubhouse, but it's like, you know, if you bring something to the table, no limits, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see that young artists be in a space where they're celebrated and uplifted, and, you know, artists who've been doing it for years get acknowledged. I mean, that's really, to me, that would be bliss.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'll be there with you.
There you go.
Thank you.
To piggyback off of what Evan said, and I like to draw references. There's a powerful young woman. I think her name is Malaya, right? Malia Ali. A powerful young woman. She's a poet. She's a public speaker. She's an artist. She's actually the youngest artist that exhibited in Blue Door, if I'm not mistaken. So she's very, very like. When I envision young creatives, I always identify Malaya or Malia. I'm sorry if I'm murdering your name, but in the ideal situation, I would like to create or at least foster or enhance more Malias, because that's where it's going to start. I mean, again, you start allowing them to be in a position where they could thrive and succeed and have confidence in what they're doing. It's only going to make the city better. It's only going to enhance the level of the city. So that's very important to me. Really providing the resources and the tools to our youngins. That's near and dear. That's the whole point. That's
Yeah.
the whole point of this.
And when you have the return on investment is they understand the importance of giving back.
Right.
I've met artists since I've been in Yonkers who, for whatever experience they've had, they've walked away from Yonkers. They don't want nothing to do, and they actually gave me some warnings that, you know, I listen, but I know that my path is different than others. So, but it saddened me that they're not here to experience what's happening now. And, you know, that's what we want to avoid, because, you know, there's so many opportunities, and with social media and the internet, you could be in one city but rep 10 others without having to leave that city. So we want to make sure that individuals, creatives of all forms, not just the visual arts, but of all forms, realizes that Yonkers Arts has something to provide them with by way of support. We need support. Without that, we're going to look for it someplace else. So those people who left the city of Yonkers because of those experiences, we want to make sure that those things don't happen in the future.
Put more good in the world.
Yes.
Leave less room for the bad.
Sure.
So we're going to get ready to wrap up, but before we do, I wanted to come back to the mural. And I want to read a quote. I went through and read a bunch of news articles that were written about the mural. And that was a lot of fun.
Okay.
And this is a quote by a woman who was in Washington at a march for George Floyd. And then she came back to Yonkers, and she was here for the painting of the mural. And she said, here's what she said. She said, everyone's watching. And hopefully this will, be the thing that will catalyze us to do something different. And her name is Effie Phillips.
Yes. Shout out to Effie. Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Effie, for those words.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
it has been about 9 months since August. And we all know that I'm going to say it anyway. I said I wasn't going to. But it takes about that long to bring a life into the world. And that mural has done that and more.
Absolutely.
And so I want to ask you, as we get to the end of our short time together here, what are the concrete next steps, and if you have them, and when are they going to happen, if you know that, so that we can know about that. And Josh, if you could just throw up we have a little picture of what some of the mural looks like now, so you all can hold in your minds at home what it looked like on that original video, and have a little look at what it looks now.
It's
if you
still
can see
so
it.
amazing just to look at it. Like, it's just to go and explore it and just experience it, even with traffic on it, it's just phenomenal. But the next steps, honestly, we're going to update it. And again, like I said, shout out to Lou Albano, because he's the one that put it in my brain, because I honestly thought by this time it'd be gone, because I was actually really surprised that it survived the winter.
Okay.
So in hearing that, I got the chills. I almost started tearing. I'm not gonna lie. And if you've seen a lot of the media coverage, there's a lot of Ray crying. So I had to hold those. I had to hold that in. But yeah. So we're gonna update the mural. It's looking like, and I don't want to jump the gun here because the city hates when I do that, but it's looking like we're gonna do it on Juneteenth, and which is a huge day for us here in Yonkers. And shout out to Tom Ray, who's sitting in the crowd right here, because again, and I'll introduce him a little later, but he's had amazing work here in Yonkers, and as part of the African American Heritage Committee, they put on amazing Juneteenth programs throughout the year, just acknowledging and honoring African American culture. So shout out to them. But yeah, we'll be partnering with a few different organizations here in Yonkers to help to update that, and I'll put more information out once we get the final details on that. But we're excited about that. Very, very big and very important. But other than that, we also have a few different organizations that we still have ongoing meetings to this day, just to see how we can address some of the issues on the ground. So one of the projects that was birthed through that particular committee was the community fridge project, and we're partnering with some amazing partners, so the YMCA, West Hab, and a few other different organizations that'll be a part of it. So we're excited about that.
Wow, that's brilliant. Really wonderful. We are gonna wrap up. So I want to, before we do though, because then the three of us are going to hop out of the way and bring on somebody who has some wonderful words to share. But before we do that, I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in to our first hybrid River Arts Artist Conversation. There will be more, and so please stay tuned. Look out for the announcements. We'll be back. And with that, Ray, why don't you introduce our guest?
Yes. So let me give some preface into what my guy is about here. So I want to introduce Tom Ray. Tom Ray is a local author, poet, organizer, overall just really, really amazing gentleman. I met him here at the Power Lab, as I meet so many amazing, dope people here. And we've been close. I mean, he's a text message away, and I'm very proud to have him as a friend. Extremely talented, and you'll see the reason why he's here. So without further ado, my man, Tom Ray.
Thank you. Peace and blessings, family. I go by the name of Tom Ray. I'm a Yonkers native, poet, author, as Ray said. And since this feels so organic and it feels like we're sitting in the living room I decided to actually sit down and express myself. And what a wonderful interview, family. A great host. And I'm going to share a piece that I titled Black Liberation. And I'm going to take my time so you can hear it, so you can hear every word. Black liberation is the topic of this poetic citation. And as I recite the following words, may the spirit of our ancestors continue to inspire our nation to stand for families of melanated descent, those who I proudly represent, whether high yellow or as black as a panther. We are kinfolk, dispelling Lynch's wicked theory. And I know our fight is a journey of long suffering, and all the good we do, never be weary. The victory is ours. Claim it and stand on the fact that you're proud to be black, fervently bold and uncompromised. May the chains of oppression be crucified while all God's children stand side by side, embracing their uniqueness, honoring their differences, creating blueprints for our offsprings to follow, teaching them that if you make it through the night, there's a brighter tomorrow. So let your light shine into the eyes of those who can't see past racial injustice or our royal genotype. It's not our fault that we could sit under the sun when it's shining bright. We are divinely chose, called for a purpose, removing the mask of all snakes and serpents, bringing forth truth, confronting lies and mental bondage with divine salvation that could sustain us through all trials and tribulations while walking into our winning season. And I know these words are destined to manifest themselves because of who I believe in. Now, can I get an amen if you know you need him? Yes, this is poetic gospel. And when it comes time to speaking the truth, you know I got you. And when it's time to speak yours, let nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, stop you. Peace. That's Black liberation. Thank you. That's my time, people. I love you all. God bless you. Peace and love, Yonkers. I love you, man. My family. God bless. Peace. Thank you. As always. As always, my brother. Yes.
Thank you.